new lows, or yet again, are we just getting a trap, right, when it comes to bullish divergence come into play, and we are still looking for that bounce and entries up to $72,000. So today is altcoin day. We got a ton of altcoins to speak around. I want to speak around Neo Protocol hitting 618 right now, right? I want to speak around Render. I want to speak around Sui. There's a lot of tokens that if this market turns bullish, right, we're going to see the signs, we're going to see the break of the trends, and incredibly good entries are in play. But then I do want to speak bearish, right? I do want to go through, hey, is there a big short, right, from here down to the late 40,000s, if not early 40,000s on Bitcoin, right? We're going to play both sides here, but ultimately know what to do when the next move starts to happen. Be able to capitalize on the actual move. So guys, smash up the like button. Hope you're all doing fantastic. No wasting time. Let's go.
I try and help everyone in my space, and this is what I get. I try and fight the devils, but inside I'm just like Sniper. Welcome to Sheldon Show.
Howdy fam, are we long, are we short? Where you guys at? Where are you at right now? So me, I'm still in many altcoin longs right now. I've been speaking very much around altcoin longs. Dominance actually dropped quite hard yesterday, so we didn't see much of an altcoin drop other than Bitcoin putting in new lows. Okay, so dominance looking pretty weak right now. So things like Solana are up, right? And a lot of different tokens are actually showing strength at this point. However, if Bitcoin does decide to make a 20% drop, it's very likely altcoins will get a weakening and a catch up at some point. But then on the other side, right, is altcoins actually leading the race to say, hey, there is a pump, there's interest in this area, we are getting buying and accumulation. We saw a spike yesterday, I actually want to bring this up, right, of interest, of there's some big whales accumulating Bitcoin at these areas. Let's actually bring it up here. See if I can get it through from Whale holdings for Bitcoin just put in the largest spike in history by a country mile. Whales have accumulated around 270,000 Bitcoin in the $59,000 range, right? So very interesting. As much as we're sitting here, we've got to realize there are certain categories that are buying into the market. So let's go through a couple of things. Now, the first thing I want to quickly do is just start off on the weekly again. What we want to see this week is we want to see Bitcoin close above 59,500. We want to see a green candle. Right, that is quite important. We are, by the end of this week, seeing a RSI at the bottom on the weekly. Right, so again, if we can just keep holding support and holding the areas for plan A, and plan A is holding this 58,000 and pushing to 72,000, right, and we continue as much as the bears are fighting, we get through it, we finish a green candle, RSI on the weekly is reset, we could be seeing a couple of weeks move to the upside. Now again, I'm not seeing it the upside to the 80 or 90,000s yet, but I am definitely seeing at any point we could see a rally up to 72,000. And by me just putting a simple calculation of where we are here, right, into that, you can very much see it's a good trade, right? It's a good trade. It's a good area of when your risk is a lot lower than when it comes to your reward, right? And that's ultimately what we are looking for. Again, when it comes to timing wise, I am still looking at the areas of a little bit later on in the year of around the August, September time. That's especially if we are holding this area over here, we should start seeing some growth and possibly up into the 80, 90,000 by the end of the year, right? This is plan A, right? When it comes to weekly, plan B. Now, plan B, let's just pop this in here for a second, right, is we do actually go to the next big important weekly fib, right? And that's basically indicating the low 40,000s, okay? If that is so, right, we need to see a weekly close, right, below this area of $57,000, right? A weekly close below 57,000, right? Then we are starting to lose support. I'm talking about the close. The close is quite important. Little wicks and stuff like that. You know, traps always happen before real move starts, right? But if we see weekly closes below over here, that will give me a warning sign to say, hey, this is still definitely on the cards, right? And pay attention to a possible area. Again, we lose these zones. This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a possible push down to the areas of the low 40,000s. Now, there is a scenario where we don't go down here. Let's say we don't want to hit the fib, right? The next supports are sitting basically at the early 50,000s, right? So there are two big gaps that we are looking here when it comes to support, but the closing candle this week is the one that's going to play it for me as a confirmation. I don't want to allow little wicks and things to kind of just change the mind. We've got to see high time frame closes here in order to really validate that and to say, okay, this is realistic, and I'm going to start changing all of my plans I've been building for the last couple of weeks, right, to make that decision. So I need that to come into play. Now, when it comes to the shorter time frame, just zooming in, one thing that's very important to understand where we're at right now, right, is I want us to pay attention that we are forming a bullish pattern, right? So as much as, for me, bearishness comes down to when we're at a big level and what we are basically doing at that level, right? We must pay attention that we are seeing a descending wedge, right? Which means pattern-wise, again, we hold these areas here, right? This is showing us that there is a bullish play here. And it is also showing us that this will be the trigger, right? This trend line will be the big trigger. So even on the short time frame, what I want to see as interest specifically this week is I do want to see us push to this area over here. Right? I do want to see us get to the major resistance, but the important thing is we are not basically trending like this. We are not trending to the upside, right? That is a bearish play for me for another leg down. If you pay attention to the legs down that we've been having, right, within Bitcoin, you can see very much it's the slow grind to the upside that is the concern, right? This is giving us continuation to the downside whenever we are seeing these slow grinds up, okay? But when you see the slow grinds down, right, the slow grinds down, this is what you want to see before a reset or a new move to the upside. Okay, so just again to pay attention that we are forming a bullish wedge, right, in play. And again, if we hold the levels, there is very much still a reason to be long or to be building in these areas and actually have hope of a push up to the $70,000 zones. Then again, a couple of things to pay attention to is we are still sitting with bullish divergences on the daily. Right, we are still sitting with a very much higher RSI, higher high, and a very much lower low on the chart. So again, also indicating that we hold here, right, and we do survive the bear push that we're seeing right now. At any moment, you're going to see a big green candle come into play, right, over a day or two. Okay, and a lot of this will be absorbed. Now remember, when we have slow grinds down, okay, and you do have a real reversal, weeks of hard work will be evaporated within 2-3 days. And then right now you got choice, right? You got choice for so many entries, right? So many entries. Should I take plays? It's quite clear where to put stop losses, all these things. But when we have that big candle, like those benefits of having time, right, kind of start to disappear. And then you're sitting in this place of, what do I do, right? Do I buy more now? What do I do? The market's already bounced 30-40%, right? So again, it just comes down to the confidence of, hey, we have two scenarios here, right? There's two clear trades where to be taking them. Right, I'm going to play trade one as an example, and knowing that if I get stopped as an example, I know that very much I'm going to get better entries. Other than that, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste my ammo. I don't want to waste anything like that. Okay, as long as you have a clear sight, it makes sense. Being in this unknown where I'm going to wait to see what kind of happens and stuff, this might, if you've accepted it mentally, cool, but this might be a very big trap that comes in and makes it very difficult on what to do next. Right, so at any point you see a massive rally up and a big bounce up, right, then it's that question of where do I buy? And if you're buying here, what, you're putting stops down here. And all of a sudden, the risk where you had this little bit of risk over here now turns into this risk over here, right? So again, update us on XRP. Yes, I will go through the XRP. I'm very much long on XRP as well over here. Okay, now let's go through the plays that I am seeing within today, right? So again, we had this little drop lower. Guys, make sure you are subscribed to Sniper Trading. Okay, I have stuck to the same thesis, right? Where I'm long in these areas for push up to 72,000. Okay, the only big update that I made, right, and I made it 12 hours ago, was I moved my stop loss down slightly. Okay, I moved it down to this area of 57,360. And that update came, again, you must be subscribed here and subscribe to the other channel because this, oh, what happened there? This is where, did I just make it smaller there now? This is where I update outside of the banter shows, right? So again, the show that I did yesterday, right, it was 13 hours ago. I did update that I'm moving my stop loss to 57,300. And I'll show you guys why in a sec, but it's important, right? For me, this is about surviving the choppy period that we're in right now. You survive it, you get the reward, right? Which means that I want a stop loss to be in a very, very, very good zone. Now, to get to that play there, just to show you guys why I moved the stop loss slightly down, is again, drawing the 618, it is sitting at 58,000. But what I also saw is on the left-hand side here, right, we have these previous levels, right? And these levels are known as support zones, okay? And this one is the one that paid attention to me here, which was this zone over here. And it basically showed me that if we lose that zone, that was a clear push up and a bottom, right? Then we are looking at this over here. So this is where the big gap is to the downside, right, which is this area over here. Okay, so again, it just said, okay, but Sheldon, there is a slight support just below, okay, the 618. So keep that in mind. And for me, I'm always making the probability of how many tools are all pointing at the same space, right, to make it a good zone. Okay, and it just said, okay, Sheldon, if you have too tight over here, you might get stopped for a silly little wick, right? So move your stop down slightly, and I moved it down literally a tiny little bit of 0.3%, okay? And that survived beautifully yesterday. So make sure you're on both of them, because this is where it comes down to just getting through this major area. And for now, we have obviously survived a little bounce for now, okay? But let's speak around this now of what I want to see next. So for the bearish play, the problem that we're seeing now is we are still seeing this short-term bears in control, right? So we have this level right now of where bears are still holding, okay? And then above that, we have the big trend up here. So what you're sitting with basically a squeeze wall of where bears are holding control, and then you're sitting at an area of very likely where we're going to push fast, right? So this is the big area of control over here. Then when it comes to the downside, we obviously have this big low that we've just set in now, okay? So again, for me, it makes it quite clear now that closing candles outside either of these zones are giving us the sign of where we're going, okay? But I'm going to play the plays that I'm seeing over here. So the first one, okay, is we actually do see another attempt down, okay? And we do start pushing up there over the next day or two, right? If bears are going to take control here, they need to break this soon. If not, bulls are actually getting stronger a lot more than what we think, right? It's all reverse psychology that's in play right now, okay? But it basically means that if bears, they need to get going now if they want to send this price, and we want to talk around the low 50,000s, that needs to come into play pretty soon, okay? Anything of us coming down, higher, low, bouncing, getting in, the bulls are starting to gain control, okay? And the reversal will happen quick at any point, okay? So again, for me, any positions that I'm paying attention to is this area over here, right? Of where I'm loading up, nice tight stop losses in these zones over here. And I'm preparing for that exact scenario over here. Okay, time-wise on that scenario, guys, again, I think this week, the goal is to get to 62,000, okay, specifically on the bullish scenario. And by next week, I want to see, the next 2 weeks or so, I want to see 72,000. Right, that gives me a little bit of a time frame of when it comes to that. And the same thing with the bears. If I want to think $50,000, right, in this next 7 days, I want to be closing below 57, 56,000. Okay, then I start saying, okay, we start changing the plan, start thinking about lower down prices and these type of things over here. So again, something that you can pay attention to is this trend line, guys. Okay, so you got the bottom trend now. We know that there's bear controls here. This trend over here gives me the perfect. If we see rejection, we start to break the trend, that's the signal. Specifically on leverage trades, I think there's great leverage trades from this over here, right, where you can put tight stops and really good risk to rewards to the area of 62,000. Okay, but that trend is the one giving us a time frame. Okay, it's telling us that, hey, bears are going to step in the next 4 hours, push us down, okay, and bulls can step in a little bit later on over here. Okay, or if we decide to start breaking here now, it's giving us the sign, right? Now let's get to the next juicy part. So again, I want to pay attention to the USDT dominance. So let's go here to USDT dominance, okay, and just pay attention to the slight uprising wedge we're seeing. So yes, we've called this beautifully, guys, waiting for 58,000. We're there now, right? We're sitting there now. But as you can see, the USDT dominance, right, is also sitting at that big resistance here, but it's not sitting at the top like Bitcoin is, right? So the first thing I just want to show you guys over here is just pay attention to the slight uprising wedge, okay? Pay attention to the bearish divergence over here, okay? These could be very important signs, okay? And then the next thing to pay attention to is this bottom trend line, right, which we're not far from. We break this bottom trend, markets are going to start rallying, right? So keep that in mind over there. But why I'm bringing this up over here is because we have the Bitcoin dominance really starting to fall aggressively, right? Starting to look really good how it's starting to move to the downside. Now, again, a couple of weeks back, we lost this trend. Okay, we've tested it, and now we are at the zone over here. And what we have is if we go here, we are sitting now on this support. Okay, now there's two plays here that I'm basically seeing. The first play that I'm basically seeing over here is this bouncing up. This bouncing up for me is a bullish Bitcoin. Right? If we are going to go bearish and Bitcoin's going to possibly push lower, it's very likely this is going to come down, guys. Okay, so again, we had support now, and it is telling us that, hey, if there is a bottom, we're going to soon notice and soon see it, right? But it's nice to see that the altcoins are being saved if the market's going down, right? Therefore, you jump to altcoins now, right? And you can see that we did not put in a new daily low, okay? Another very important thing yet again is obviously the pattern that's being formed over here, okay? But the next thing that I want you guys to pay attention to, right, is the trend line. Now, altcoins are a lot closer to breaking out than what Bitcoin is, okay? This, for me, gives massive opportunities when it comes to longing and taking trades in the market. right? In the next 5 minutes, we're jumping onto WEEX, and we're going to be going through a ton of altcoin setups for you guys. But this is why what kind of excites me over here is right now it's a Bitcoin fight. It's not really an altcoin fight just yet, okay? And as you can see here, we are sitting time-wise, right, from breakout, specifically this market's going to turn bullish, right? You're looking anywhere in the next day, right? In the next day, we could be seeing altcoins breaking out, okay? So this is the sign here to say that many altcoins are probably crunched up to these trends, right? Put all these trends in, the long signal is going to be breaking off these trends. Tight stops, really good rewards, right? If we look at again of the opportunities of that, right, you will see really good risk to rewards when it comes to the trade setups that are incoming. Now, not only mid-time frame are they good setups, these could be incredibly higher time frame entries too, right? Guys, end of the day, we could be marking the bottom. What are we trying to do here over the next couple of weeks? We're looking for the bottom of the cycle. That is what we are busy fighting for and pushing for, is going through those scenarios. Now, again, I want to quickly just update you guys. Many of the alts didn't really get affected on yesterday's new low. So things like ETH are right in the zone, right? Things like Solana actually higher than yesterday, right? Broken, retest right now. Solana's on the other side of the trend, one of the leading altcoins right now. And it's literally sitting one resistance away from a short squeeze up to the $95 range, right? So there's definitely strength starting to play. Guys, Injective, I've been calling Injective and speaking around Injective. Keep an eye out on the trend line. Injective starts breaking here today. There are some big, great trades incoming on Injective, right? Look at the setup here, right? Once we start closing, and it's not far, guys. This could be happening in the next couple of hours. Anyway, the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, right? We want to see a close outside of, let's see what the price is now. Okay, so it's 2 hours from now is a 4 hour close. We want to see above the 4.72, 4.73. And that will be the buy trigger signal for me. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to take a small long on Injective now. Small. It's not a all-in long yet, but I want just a little starting entry here. Okay, so I'm going to enter in around 20%. Okay, stop loss on this. Bottom trend line, pop that in. Stop loss will be at 4.55. Okay. Cool, there's a small entry. Again, I'm going to add a lot more to it once we get a close outside of here. But this for me is an opportunity, right? Crunching up here, really good trade setup that I am seeing. When it comes to AVAX, right? So AVAX also on the verge of a nice little breakout. So I want to show you guys the AVAX chart. Might be a little bit more time on AVAX. Okay, not actually. Okay, so again, let's jump in over here. Let me give you guys the important trend lines, right? Put the important trend lines on. The trend lines are the ones that we are paying attention for execution. So I'm going to go here to the AVAX charts. I'm going to go here to the 4 hour. Okay. Here's the trend here. So let's make this big so you guys can see it. There we go. So I'm going to call the dates here quick. The 15th of June, right? And then the 18th of June, right? Those two highs, right? Bring you across this trend over here. Let's just see if that's the correct one. No, there we go. Okay. 16 June. 18 June, 30th of June. That gives you the trend. I want to see a close above outside of the 6.7, and it's going to be a long chart for me, right? What I then do is I put up this trend line over here, okay, and stop losses will be sitting under this area here. Now, the next key thing here, guys, is this will be the execution, right? This will be the trade setup that I'm looking for. Wrong position, okay. So let's work out risk. Okay, you're looking at around 1.5% risk, okay? The reward on this trade, right, is I'm looking for a push up to the areas of 7.6, and the next one is up to 8.5, right? So there's a lot of reward to come into play. But the next thing that I want you guys to pay attention to is I want you to mark out this level over here, right? This high that we are seeing here, okay? Now, this high over here is important because once we see a 4 hour close, so what you do is you go to your charts and you prepare your charts. Right, you basically prepare and you say, okay, you pop it in here and you say, okay, 4 hour close above, okay, and stop loss at entry. Okay, so close above this area over here, stops move up, remove your risk from the trades and enjoy, relax. Right, but that's the signal that is what I'm saying. Again, no financial advice. These are trade setups I'm taking, my ideas, my thoughts. You do what you want to do with the information, but I'm sharing to you behind the ideas of taking trade setups. right? When it comes to render, this one's in a little bit of a spot buy right now. Okay, the next one to pay attention to is SUI. So let's go through here to SUI. Yes, I'm going to get to XRP now. There's many XRP. XLM is too late. We'll have a look now. Okay. So SUI, what you do, I'll give you guys, it's actually in buy zone now, if I must be honest. It is showing buys now. So this would be something like this with a nice trade setup here. So this one's a little bit bigger, 2.4% risk. TPs on this, the first TP is up here at 77 cents and the next one is sitting at 82 cents. So it could be a nice trade setup. Stop losses around the 68.5. How did I determine that stop loss? Is basically taking a Fibonacci from the previous wave, right, and putting it under the 786. Right, that is how I get to my stop loss area when it comes to SUI. Right, let's jump onto Sol and see if there's anything on Sol. Sol's a little bit higher up, but there's still an edge here because of where we're at now. Okay, so again, Solana has broken out. So this one's a little bit more risk. And I'll show you guys now. It doesn't mean there's no trade setup. It's just about the risk side of things. Okay, so if I was entering this, I'm looking to enter this. Here, same thing, Fibonacci of the last wave up. And stop loss would be around here. Okay, so this one is slightly more risk. You're looking at a 3% risk. Obviously, the reward of where I'm looking for, the first push is $83 and the second one is $88 mid-time frame. All right, so it's decent, okay, but it's a little bit more like, for me personally, of a thing like it's like a little bit more size, less leverage, right? And I basically play that as the play. Spot entry is still really good. Then this one I want to chat around is NIA, guys. Now, NIA is just coming closer and closer and closer to the trend. Okay, so there's the trend. So I'm going to call the dates over here. 16th of June, 21 June, 29th June, and the 1st of July, right? Gives you the trend line. Okay, the close outside here, I like what I'm seeing on the daily. I like that I'm starting to see again, we've hit support. Okay, but I'm liking that we're seeing this type of candle. If we close anywhere above and we see this type of candles, very likely the next day or two, you're going to see big green candles, right? Anywhere up to the areas of up to $2.1, $2.2. Okay, so things like NIA now, let's go into the NIA setup. So I've given you guys the trend line there, but I just want to give you the idea here. This is one you can wait for trends to break. Okay, so let's get our good trend line in. Okay, so this one is saying 24 hours, 48 hours until we see break. So I wouldn't be buying this just yet. But once we start to see closes outside of this trend, anywhere up to 1.85, there, what you should see is you should see a move up like that. So there'll be a bottom trend line where you put your stop loss. It looks like a good setup. TPs on this, 2.1, and the next TP I'm looking for is around 2.4. Right, so good setups, good risk to rewards when it comes to NIA protocol. Let's see. Okay, we got AVAX. AVAX also on the verge of a nice little breakout. I want to see a breakout side of 6.8. That's a good one. ETH as well. Just want to show you guys the trend line so that you have it. Let's go here. ETH. I know now it's like a bit of a grind, choppy stage, guys. But the moment there's market trends again, we're going to have a lot of fun trading again. Just stay in the game, right? Stay in the game. Keep going. Okay, so there's the ETH trend. Basically saying once ETH really starts to close above 1,600 will be the long signal. Trend line bottom. Nice 2% stops that we're kind of seeing in a lot of the altcoins. Okay, let's go through tokens that you guys want to see. Please pop them through. Dogecoin. Okay, so Doge ain't there yet. Doge is actually still a little bit far. So again, the way you kind of categorize it is A-grade trades right now, which are alts that are basically close to the trends. This is one that will be ready when the market starts to bounce. Will be ready in the next 72 hours, anyway, up to the next couple of days, right? But pay attention to the shows. The moment I see it, they will be specifically once the bull scenario can come into play, then I'll be giving you guys entries on Dogecoin. Doge is still a little bit of time. Not only that, it's still quite a bit of time from the real breakouts, right? Of seeing up to a 20-30% move. For now, it's just accumulation zones, right? And if you just pay attention to high time frame, where we at high time frame, okay, is we are, let's just see support zones. Okay, we've just lost that support. There is one more support over here. Okay, let's see if there's any key trends that we are seeing here. Okay, it's basically saying there's a really good zone here between this, this late 6 to early 7 cent mark. Right, we're seeing a long trend come all the way. Just put the trend correct. Right. These tend to be very accurate trends, by the way. So this could be like, I'll focus a little bit more on investment entries and high time frame entries and trading just yet. Let's go through DOT. Guys, if none of you have a WEEX account, there's a link below in the description. Tons of sign-up bonuses. You can get up to $100 airdrops, right, just by following the social medias, right? And you get a bunch of different little prizes for all the little things that you do. And there's a lot of great prizes for obviously volume trading as well. So if you're looking for an account, there's a link below in the description. Sign up there to get all of that value. Okay, DOT. Actually not looking too bad. Let's see if DOT's on WEEX. Yeah, it's here. Okay. Where are we at here? Okay, there's still a bit of time until a 4-hour breakout. However, we are seeing a short time frame 4-hour breakout. Okay, so for big confirmation, we want to see a break above the 86 cents mark. Okay, for a nice push up to the dollar area over here. For now, looks good. This thing will be ready probably the next day or two. All right, but it is looking good. It is looking good. I just want to see the 4-hour breakouts. Let the market turn a little bit more bullish, and then we can confirm this over here. So I'll keep this on the radar for you guys. Atom. Okay, so again, I also want to bring up Atom over here. I haven't actually charted Cosmos for some time. Wow, this thing is down at crazy lows. We're literally down to 2020 levels. Okay, again, the good sign to obviously pay attention to is the descending wedge. Let's just load up. Okay, so again, we got this descending wedge kind of in play. Okay, so the one like this, guys, I don't want to catch a knife, okay, but it is a very obvious trend, right? Like a very, very, I don't want to say easy, but if we look at the trends here, so let's see this trend. Guys, that's a really good trend. Like, that's a very good trend. That's right from the top to the second high, all the way down, crunching close to it. You'll know when it's ready to pop, right? This is the trend. 17th of June, 22nd of June, right? Those highs over there, that's the trend. When we break that trend, that would be the long signal, right? It's going to hype. Okay, so hype. Kind of chilling here at the moment. And it's making a flag. So there's not much when it comes to trade setups right now that I can see other than that flag. So yes, if there's another breakout, we'll see that in the next couple of days. And if there is a pullback, and the pullback can go anywhere up to $53, $54 range, and we could even see $44. This is very likely it's the bearish scenario on Bitcoin. Right, bullish scenario, you'll see a break of this trend, breakout of $68, $69 for another rampage up. Just to give you guys a bit of a view of where hype can kind of go. It's been one of the most bullish tokens. It's been doing really good in a bear market. All right, so let's go through like type of areas. Let's say it wants to break new highs. Let's see. Let's just load up here. Okay, I just want to see if there's any more data on other exchanges. Okay, so we got there. There. I'm just looking for a little bit more data so I can draw some fibs here. Come on, signal's been quite crappy today. Why are you taking long? Okay, but here's a good one on KuCoin. Okay, so for things like this, I want to use extended Fibonacci's here. Extensions. Let's put this one in 2.618. So again, it's a little bit higher time frame. Okay, so next clear zone is $80. I've spoken about this in the past, and obviously future prices we can see up to 120, and obviously a little bit higher up. Way to track that is, again, you've got areas of where it can go. Fibonacci's can be really good, right? Is that trend line at the bottom there. So we're not in any big danger right now. You know, we actually support buys are sitting at low $50. So this trend will determine any danger, right, of when there's a big high time frame pullback coming. We're not seeing any of that right now. Okay, Rio. I don't see that here. Okay, next one. I don't know what Rio is, brother. No idea what Rio is. Okay, Zcash. God, I think Zcash is getting ready. It's like it's getting there. Let's just see these trends here. Okay, so there's one trend a little bit higher up, and there is the trends that we are starting to break out now. So guys, for me, once Zcash gets above 420, I do see a strong push up. The trade setup that I'm kind of looking for myself is I'm looking for longs in these areas for push up to the areas of 560. So I do see up to a 40% gainer and up to a 5% risk, right? So that's currently the trade setup that I'm seeing right now. We really want to see some closes is above that 425-ish. See some daily close above there, and then very likely we start pushing up. This could be a coin that breaks new highs, right? But I'm just going to trade to mid-range. It looks like a really good trade setup. I'm actually going to load a small position right now, just a starter position. Putting a nice little stop loss. This can't be a super aggressive high leverage trade. Let's get something in the gates here. Okay, then let's get a stop loss in play. So my stops would be, let's just zoom in here. Okay, I should take bottom trend. So my stops will be at 390. Okay, so let's pop this in. 390 will be my stops on Zcash. XRP. Okay, this is last one, XRP. Okay, so again, XRP is facing the short-term bearishness. It looks very similar to Bitcoin, right, at the moment. However, again, I explained to you guys that if we survive this pullback we're seeing now, and we see a break here, XRP is not far from a breakout, guys. We've got a 3-touch trend line here. Okay, once we see a above that 1.06, right, it's very likely we're going to see a push up to 1.2. Right, again, high time frame, I think a lot higher, but for trade setup wise, that's kind of the setup. Confirmation wise, you can wait for the clear break of the trend. Looks like a good setup. Right, so yes, I am slowly starting to get a little bit more bullish on XRP. Okay, let's quickly have a look at a couple liquidations. Okay, I just want to reset this. Okay, starting to disappear at the bottom here. We're getting liquidations at 59,400 on the short time frame. Let's go to 48-hour. Okay, we're still sitting with a little bit here at 57. We might see a retest. Let's see. And then we're seeing a bunch at 59,500. So again, we're sitting with these two walls. Don't be surprised if the market chops around for a little bit. Guys, lots of love. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you guys on Friday. Sniper Trading, there'll be a show later today, and there'll be a show there tomorrow as well, right? So make sure you subscribe there to catch the second half of the shows, couple hours apart. Have a great day. Lots of love. Bye-bye.